Hello and welcome to I Don't Get It, the Pop Culture Get Off My Lawn cast. This show features the open-minded musings of two early 50s curmudgeons, staring at the prospect of entertainment irrelevance. I'm your co-host, Bill Scurry, of American Caesar Enterprises, which, as you all know at this point, is a massive laundry facility which pre-shrinks all your lovely wool sweaters before you get a chance to wear them. So the sleeves are short, the waist is short, and it's too tight across the breast, generally making for an uncomfortable experience.
Why are you sending your wool sweaters to the cleaners before you wear them?
No. It's like before they hit the shelf, they get pre-shrunk. So you have an extra large label, for instance, and it will be.
So you don't work with consumers. You work with the
yes,
sweater companies.
Yes, exactly. And so it's like they're pre-shrunk without letting you know they're pre-shrunk. So it's like.
And what is the purpose of this product that you're saying does not serve the consumer well?
It's just a pure scam. Essentially, it is just it's chicanery, and it is all the worst things you can think of about customer forward-facing customer service.
Not the worst thing I could think of about capitalism. Certainly not this week.
That's true. Yeah, no, you're right about that. I have to.
Anytime someone says wool sweater, I think of when I was very young. I mean, God, I must have been. I have this clear memory. The house we left when I was 6, so I was really young, and I think it was my birthday, and we were having a birthday party, and my mom made me wear this sweater that I'm sure she thought was very nice. I think it was wool. Who knows? It was so damn itchy that I was unable to enjoy my birthday party because I was itching the whole time.
So the sweater was on skin. You had no undershirt or anything like that, I assume.
I must have had some form of undershirt, but presumably it was not long johns. Presumably the sweater touched the skin of my arms and my neck, etc.
I had one zip-up sweater, I remember when I was about 8 or 9 years old, and I remember there was something so uncomfortable about it. At that time, the only word I could use to describe it were Sparkies. And I would tell my mom,
what does that mean, Sparkies?
Sparkies. It felt like it was uncomfortable on my skin. It wasn't so much itchy, but it was an uncomfortable sensation that was like little bits and pieces all around my skin where it was in contact. I would tell my mom, it's like, this sweater is giving me Sparkies. And my mother
would go, I don't know what that means.
She'd say, you know what? It's like, she would dress me. It's like, just wear the sweater. And I saw the sweater in the rack. It was like the clown from Poltergeist. Like I would see it knowing that at some point in the rotation, I was going to have to wear that sweater because she picked it out for me, and I wasn't being listened to. My discomfort was being ignored, essentially.
And then in the middle of the night, the sweater jumped out from under the bed.
It was strangling me with its sleeves as I was, struggling.
Can I tell you, I watched Poltergeist again, I mean, at this point, 15 years ago, and that movie had scarred me when I saw it in the 80s.
Yes.
That clown scene scarred everyone, right? And seeing it again, it was not remotely as scary. That clown scene was just stupid.
Stupid.
I was very disappointed in Poltergeist. How do you feel about it now?
Oh, no. I watch Poltergeist. It's become a sort of poppy field, as they say in some of the pop culture.
So you still like it?
Oh, I love it. Not only do I like it. Really? And I told this to our mutual friend Kevin Marr. Poltergeist is one of those weird movies that, depending on where you see it in your life, it has, like, my vantage point inside the movie changes with who I'm identifying with. Because what is it, Peter? Bobby? I can't remember. The son was Bobby.
I have no idea.
So when we watched Poltergeist in 82, I'm the son's age, right? So I'm the one fighting the clown. Now then I
definitely identified with the son in those.
I watched the movie when I'm 36, and it's like, I am Joe Beth Williams and Craig T. Nelson's age. And it's like, so I am looking at them and what they're dealing with. And it's like, when I watch it now, I'm like James Cameron's age. So I'm closer to the scam artist who's moving the headstones without moving the bodies, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Give it a few more years, you'll identify with the tree outside.
Or the guy from the sequel, Kane, the evil preacher who's
will be as immobile. Yeah. Anyway, my name is Noah Tarnow. I'm the founder and the senior quiz master of the Big Quiz Thing, the trivia game show spectacular. Welcome to the show, folks. Welcome to I Don't Get It. And we took a couple weeks off. How many weeks off? 2 weeks off?
Well, it was like staccato because we were on, off, and now I think we're on.
We're busy men. I mean, you got to get used to this.
What do you want me to do, man?
To love us is to deal with our busyness.
We get the speaking engagements. We're going to Monaco. Right. We're going,
$10,000 per gig. Yeah,
it's a big deal. Think tanks.
I actually have a job, Bill. You mock, but I actually do have commitments.
Sure. Yeah. So do I.
Anyway, so we're trying to talk about what's happening, what's new. This is sort of a little like our last topic was, we talked about the Knicks. Since then, the Knicks have won, finally, the final NBA Finals.
Because you know what? They got the I Don't Get It boost. That's the thing.
Exactly. We gave it to them. So both of us are New Yorkers, even though neither of us live in New York at the moment, but neither of us are real basketball fans, but hooray for the Knicks. Hooray for New York. And this is also a news topic. You kind of texted me, yes, we were going to do a different topic, which I will not mention because maybe
put that in
we'll
the can. We'll get back to it.
Yeah. It's kind of evergreen or ever puke colored. And but you said yesterday, the big news story yesterday, why don't we pivot to that? And we're recording this on Saturday, June 13th. So yesterday was Friday, June 12th. And the big story was the IPO, the initial public offering of a company called SpaceX.
Sissy SpaceX, exactly.
You know what? This whole story could use a little carry, if you know what I mean.
That's true, yeah.
Use a little pig blood dumped on it. Anyway, Bill, tell us what, for those who have no idea what we're talking about or what aspects of this we're talking about, tell them the topic you had in mind that hopefully is the same angle I took when I studied this because we haven't coordinated.
Just as a primer, here's the thing: neither me nor Noah. I mean, Noah is closer to capitalism because he runs his own shingle, and has.
We're both invested in the stock market, I presume.
Yeah, but that's not my métier. That's in our household. That's my wife's purview. It's not mine so much.
I mean, I do not have investments in SpaceX or really any, thing in that industry, but
but the different. Nor I've never taken a macroeconomics course. I've never taken a microeconomics course.
I took economics in high school.
Right. The only things I know are what comes through mitosis. No, not mitosis. Osmosis. Osmosis. Exactly. Yes.
Sell high, buy low.
We'll handhold each other going through this because it's technical, but it's also not that technical. This is like a pretty.
Well, hey, we got through the Game Stonks episode pretty.
Yeah, that's true.
So
no, you're right.
Yeah.
So the Sissy SpaceX IPO is the initial public offering, as Noah said, on NASDAQ, which is one of the financial indices, under the ticker symbol, SPCX. The offering was aiming to raise $75 billion, officially priced on June 11, 2026, at a valuation of $1.77 trillion, making it the highest valued IPO, which surpassed just a couple of years ago. What's that? Yes, in history. But
in history.
Yeah, the previous record holder was Saudi Aramco, which is pretty much the government, the Riyadh-based government's, I don't know if it's a sovereign wealth fund, but the actual Saudi government is a business which has a public offering, and that was $1.70 trillion in 2019. So this surpasses that. But again, it's like you think of Saudi Arabia, you think of the kingdom in the desert with the sort of skunk works of financial instruments and oil and whatever goes on. That's a Byzantine ziggurat out of weirdness that's going on in Riyadh with MBS and all that shit. This is supposedly supposed to be different because it's in America, but nonetheless, we'll keep going. Common shares open for public trading on June 12th yesterday, like Noah says. So the Twitter platform is under the public ownership for the first time since Hiram Fuckface took over Twitter in 2022 under a series of arcane and Byzantine moves, which may or may not be legal. This IPO does not resemble others simply because the valuation, or not, I said simply because of the valuation, but because the amount of shares offered to the public is haltingly small. Yep. Creates a height value out of proportion to profitability whilst allowing Hiram Fuckface to continue to run the company as if it were still a private entity. So essentially, he kind of still has the power of a lone private CEO while being insulated from shareholder concerns, which is kind of not the way capitalism works, not the way public capitalism works.
Not the way capitalism is supposed to work. A pretty keep that in your back pocket.
We should have just called the episode "Not the Way Capitalism is Supposed to Work." So this whole thing is a fucking mad combination, which the financial markets that have rarely seen. And part of the research part of the want to talk about this and the research of doing it was to kind of look at this and pick through the boilerplate of financial writing. Even in the New York Times, some of this stuff is kind of like sane-washed as they have to do. But it's like their job is to obviously report on what is actually happening. But it's like you kind of need context for what this means beyond what's just happening. Because it's like, how is anybody supposed to look at this and even grok no pun intended, the idea of like how big the stakes are and what's happening here and who was involved.
I mean, you buried the lead, my friend.
Well, I'm not done yet. We're getting there.
Okay.
Let me pick up my notes. Yes. So also it's worth mentioning that IPOs traditionally have a cooling off period. I think it's a half a year, quarter of a year. The idea is that they make an IPO and they're embargoed from stock indices like hedge funds, not hedge funds, 401ks, things that are essentially like safe bets where you just essentially park your money in these collections. And what they're supposed to do is make a stock come out, have it come down to earth, let the dust settle, and then it enters into these index funds, retirement funds, which are, again, generally thought as safe. The White House waived those rules to help turbocharge the IPO into this farcical news wherein Hiram Fuckface becomes the first trillionaire on Earth. I believe that's the news
he is
talking about.
On paper, he is a trillionaire. And do you know whoever's in second, the second richest person, has like half that much?
Yeah. Well, isn't it Brin? It's one of those guys. It's either Zuck or Brin.
It might be Larry Page.
Perry. Okay. You're
I think it's Larry, but you know, one of those. Yeah. And again, like, what's the stat I read? According to Oxfam, Elon Musk's net worth now, based on, on paper, makes him richer than the poorest 46% of the world's population combined. Like, you tell me that makes sense.
Farmers,
even if Elon Musk were the most, even if Elon Musk were fucking Batman, if he were the most charitable person on Earth, you tell me a universe in which that makes sense. Jesus,
that's fucked up. Anyway, yeah. So there's the lead I was burying. What did you make of this, Noah? How did it raise your hackles? What did it say to you about the state of life on Earth right now?
Look, I sometimes I'm tempted to say it, but it's not. The stock market isn't bullshit. And, look, I'm someone with a lot of privilege who benefits from the stock market and has benefited over the years because I had a stock market savvy and generous father who, did things for me when I was a child and showed me what's what and passed it off to me. So I'm a lucky motherfucker. But investment is inherently full of delusion. It has always been this way. It is human nature to gamble, and it is human nature to make foolish gambles. A historical example I think of, relevant to where you are, Bill. Bill is in Amsterdam, Netherlands, is the tulip mania of 17th century, which I'm sure you know.
Good example to pull up out of the annals.
Basically, the boilerplate of irrational exuberance funding investment. Basically, there became this fad for investing in tulip bulbs to the point where individual bulbs were worth probably the equivalent of thousands of dollars, right? And the whole thing crashed. And while it didn't crash the Dutch economy, which at the time was probably the strongest economy in the world, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they were the merchant class.
It was the first stock market. It was the first they had the first investment market that had been invented on Earth, essentially.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And while it didn't crash the economy, it was a very powerful lesson. And, tulip mania sometimes uses a metaphor for, I'm sure there are people who are calling what's happening now with the SpaceX a tulip mania.
And AI as well. That was on the other side.
AI as well. Any bubble, really. But perhaps, likely, we as a society, as a race, as a culture, various cultures, are worse off now. We are definitely at something resembling, if not literally embodying, end stage capitalism. And a lot of it is because of there is too much irrational exuberance in the markets. There was a very interesting article I read recently in The Atlantic about how culture at Stanford University has been degraded because all these kids go there and all they want to do is, build a startup while they're still undergrads. And it basically becomes, instead of college where, privileged kids go to discover themselves and explore and learn and make friends and have fun and figure out who they are as people, they're just going with this mercenary goal in mind, and it degrades the entire campus culture and basically robs them of what, they're very privileged to have this wonderful life-affirming experience. And it's not audacious to say our government right now, our culture, is a grift from top to bottom. The Economist's headline on this was SpaceX's capitalism on rocket fuel, which, of course, has a double meaning, but I think both are accurate. There's a lot of bullshit here, and it's dangerous bullshit. Yes, SpaceX is not a nothing company. It's not, what was the Elizabeth Holmes company? What was it called?
Theranos.
It's not Theranos, where it's basically zero, where it's 100% hype. Apparently, SpaceX has made more advances technologically than seemed feasible earlier in terms of, rocket propulsion and getting these rockets back to Earth. And if this is direction technology moves in, SpaceX is if not a prime mover of that, an important piece in this.
But it's a cash furnace too. That's important to remember that SpaceX was essentially just as fast as you could pitchfork dollar bills into a foundry. It was essentially burning faster than you can possibly imagine.
But I'm not talking about, and they had a $4.9 billion net loss last year.
Yeah, dude.
I agree. But sometimes the companies that lose money are still key in advancing the process, advancing the science, advancing development. I mean, my company's done a ton of great work in years where we were not profitable.
Sure. I mean, but you didn't have a thumb on the scale where essentially...
Right. And no one was hyping my business to the moon.
Yeah.
I ran across some stats that were very interesting. The 2025 revenue of SpaceX was $18.7 billion, which results in a price to sales ratio about 112 times. This is not earnings. This is their sales. For context, Apple trades around 9 times sales, and NVIDIA at its absolute peak of AI madness was around 30 times sales. SpaceX just IPO'd at nearly 4 times its sales while losing money.
Insane.
The only profitable part of the business apparently is Starlink. It's satellite internet division.
Exactly, yes.
And even worse than this is, as you say, because the game is rigged, because the business is rigged, in order to, I mean, look, yesterday made millionaires of a lot of people, right? Like the headline saw some guy who was a welder for SpaceX is now a millionaire. Great. But when I say a lot of people, I mean like 50 people, right? Compared to the good you could do with that money if you spread it around more. Worse is that it pools in the form of hero fuckfaces, you call it, which of course is Elon Musk, who is not a good person. My impression is he's not a sane person.
I don't think he's a person at all. I think he's a figment of our imagination.
Right. He has said some extremely offensive things. Offensive to me as a Jew. Offensive to me as an American. Offensive to me as an advocate of democracy. He is a terrible, terrible person. And yes, there's clear evidence of market manipulation. There's evidence of election tampering in 2024 on the part of Musk, and evidence of election tampering planned for this fall. But even if Elon Musk were a great guy, he's a trillionaire now. As I said, more than the 46 poorest percent of the world combined. Double second, third place richest people on earth. This is the poison of our country, the United States, perhaps even more so than racism. This lionizing of greed to the point of what could be part of the reason people ask me, how do I still have faith in America? How do I still consider myself a patriot? And a lot of it is very personal because I look at all 8 of my great-grandparents who came here with only 2 things, jack and shit. They were poor as fuck. They didn't speak the language. They had nothing. Their religion was still looked upon with doubt in this country. It still is now, but more so then. And then look where I live and look at the privilege I benefit from. And you know how I got here? Because I and my parents and my grandparents worked and followed the law and respected other people. We could have a utopia in this country, or at least, if not, it wouldn't be a utopia. It would be an embodiment of the values that we hold up as American values, which I still believe are the noblest idea, among the noblest ideas in human history. But these are ideals. These are not fact, or they are only intermittently fact. And that is partly because it has been almost completely ruined by this, what I feel is a perversion of capitalism. It's not just people starving in the street. It's hardworking families who can't afford health care, who can't afford food, while this lunatic rakes it in and spews unfettered hate. And even worse, Bill, as we said, the company is not making money. It's losing money. And the dream of SpaceX taking us to the stars and colonies on Mars is so far away, it is tangentially connected to bullshit. A quote Musk said just the other day about SpaceX is, quote, "We want to be able to take anyone who wants to go to the moon, anyone who wants to go to Mars, or anywhere in the solar system, and maybe beyond the solar system at some point. We want to be able to take you there," he said. Not just a few astronauts. I mean you. Literally you. Unquote. And let me tell you, listener, I don't care who you are. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care how technologically savvy you are. You are not going to the moon. You are not going to Mars. All right? Maybe Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos will get there, but they're not going to live there. Maybe their grandchildren will live there. Maybe our great-grandchildren will live there. But this is a slow, tedious, careful process. I believe we should go to the stars. It's what's next. Our ancestors left the oceans and then left the caves and then crossed the oceans. That is human nature. Yes, we should go to the stars. But the way we're doing it for glorification, for fueling decadence, while the vast majority of human beings suffer needlessly. There is suffering in life. There always will be. But the level of suffering in this world and in our country is just pointless. This is the worst way to advance the human race. Thumbs down.
Well, at the risk of repeating a lot of what you said, I think you hit every single salient note that there is.
Thank you.
By really taking a baseball bat into this immorality, not amorality, immorality of capitalism.
Immorality.
I think it's immoral, not amoral in this case.
I've always said I think capitalism is amoral, but I think the bad actors within capitalism are immoral.
Exactly. It's just like just starving to death because you've been bankrupted or your farm is out of gas that's not amoral. That's immoral in this case. Look,
if you have as much agency over this as Elon Musk does, it is extremely immoral.
Correct. So
the rest of us, it's arguable, but someone with Musk who could unilaterally make a huge difference.
SpaceX prospectus veers from reality, initially by insisting that it's aiming at data centers floating in space. That was one of the pie in the sky. Mars colonies, like you say, that's supposed to be that's supposed to be the core competency.
Do you know something I read? It's great. They said human beings, it would be easier to live in a post-nuclear fallout Earth than on Mars. And you know what? I have no problem believing that.
I mean, it's like, how long can you live under the ocean by holding your breath? I mean, just honestly, it's the same fucking thing. It's so stupid.
I've seen Total Recall. I know what that air does to your eyeballs.
Give them the air, Cohagen.
Give them the air.
There's the thing, the meat and potatoes of the brand is still Starlink, like you say, which actually works. And the internet connection I have right now where I am, it uses Starlink. I will attest to the fact that it is crushing me.
No, it's not nothing. This company is not zero.
Well, but the thing is, the problem is the thing that actually works the best that I'm using right now, and I got to say it. And look, he didn't invent Starlink. It was just something he bought along the way, and none of these are his ideas. Same thing
with Tesla. Yeah,
that's the thing. Tesla cars increasingly do not work. Like that's become a bum brand too. There's no innovation there and all this shit. It's important to remember in all of this, Tesla and everything like that. You're associating. This is a meme stock, this is that term I think I've heard in the last 6 months. The idea, we talked about game stonks, the AMC theaters, the stuff that people kind of wind up buying as a goof on Reddit. This is a fucking meme stock, except the meme is built around the fanaticism of a kind of a certain bro contingent for the misogynist, fascist, anti-trans views espoused by Hiram Fuckface. So the thing is, the valuation of the company, to repeat this, at the risk of just saying it over and again, it's just out of proportion to reality. It's faith, or it's wish fulfillment, or it's storytelling. It has nothing to do with actual macroeconomics. That's the case. So look, in a few weeks, this is what's going to happen. This isn't my prediction. This is everybody's prediction. They said the value is going to drop back down to where it should be. The people who made their money based on yesterday, Saturday, 12 June, Friday, 12 June, will have had the money. They win. They're stood.
Sell.
They're going to sell, or they're going to hold on to it. The whole point is that they've invested. That's fine. It's everyone else who sort of bought in on this like they had any chance of getting rich off of this, rather than just sort of being part of the team. They're going to get fucked, or at least they're just they're going to lose money, or nothing will happen. Essentially, they'll just have little paper trinkets like autographs from fucking Wayne Gretzky after the end of a game. That's what you're going to get for this shit. So the value will be somewhat tethered to reality. Hiram Fuckface will already have his valuation because he's already out of the game. It's finished for him. He will no doubt, like you say, blast the midterms with dark money, ensuring a rat-fucked Republican victory in the elections. And we'll get back. It'll be another grim topic in 4 or 5 months or so. That we'll talk about in the show on two idiots on two microphones in two different places.
People who are investing, people who are participating in the IPO, they're not buying SpaceX. You're betting on Elon Musk. You are buying Elon Musk. The amount of control he has over this company is unprecedented.
Why did this stock shoot to the moon, no pun intended, and result in... Why do you call him Hiram Fuckface? Where does that nickname come from?
I don't want to give him a name. That's why. I don't want to...
But like, why Hiram? Like, why not Joe?
Just because it's more Baroque and it's a stupid name and it sounds dumber. And again, I'm not going to give him a name. I'm
Googling it. Did you make it up?
But it's just something I came up with years ago and doing the show. That's what I've only ever referred to him as such since we.
Yeah, I Google Hiram Fuckface. I see nothing about it.
But I think the question is correct. The answer is why is this popular? And it's like, well, again, neither of us is really experts in macro or microeconomics. But the popularity, I mean, essentially that's all this is a popularity contest. It's like a fucking... a cupcake shop in Soho that people line up out. It's like, is the cupcake good? I don't know. I know there's a fucking line out in front of it.
Cronuts.
Yeah, because people talk about it on Instagram, and it's like, and if there's a line, I'm going to queue up for it because there must be something good at the end of the half-hour line.
Remember we talked about Supreme?
Yeah. Exactly. I just saw the line out in front of Supreme. As I was in a taxi last week in New York, I saw the line out in front of Supreme. I was like, you guys are still doing this. So just to get stickers and baseball bats and fucking hoodies, and that's what they're doing. So
my favorite was my friend who actually waited online for a Cronut during the Cronut Mania. And afterwards he said to me, he's like, I was so confused because it was good, but it wasn't that great. And I'm like, what did you think was going to happen?
What the hell did you think was going to change your fucking
You thought you were going to come in your pants from eating a donut? Like, it's a fucking donut.
Look, man, I don't need a donut to do that. I'm an expert of my own. But here's the thing. The adherents, they know little about the markets, they know little about economics. They just want a shot at buying something which they think will get them closer to their South African cult leader. The reality is that the value will have already been paid out to the employees, the people of the conglomerated companies, all the sort of, what is it? It's Grok, it's SpaceX, it's Tesla, and it's Starlink in one gigantic smushed together blob of bullshit. And so the guys, like you said, the welder who got stock options on day one and stuck through the inhuman conditions where people essentially were made to work while falling asleep or kept from going home, were encouraged to not have families and just essentially pour their efforts like at some kind of like, what is it? EST, some kind of like group delusional experience where you're just supposed to give over your core self to him. It became a cult. So meanwhile, anyone buying in after or on or after June 12 is sure not to make any money. So any goodwill that the car, the internet, or their satellite launch brands offer is outweighed by slavish fanaticism. And why is it popular? Because it's kind of pivoted on slavish fanaticism.
Mm-hmm. Scott Galloway, former topic of the show, who we both become fans of.
Who got the I don't get it bounce too, the bump.
Yes, exactly. Came in the Knicks, yeah. And Taylor Swift. He really summed it up. He said, this is a cult, not a company that will invest in anything that Musk puts forward. Our culture, our country, to an extent our world, has been seduced by fake marketing. You said performative masculinity. Look what's happening tomorrow outside the White House. I mean, Give me a fucking break. And childish fantasy. And the investing class, although in a case like this, it's more speculation than investing, is benefiting wildly from the K-shaped economy. And now they're high on this fantasy that is just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and they're going to go to space and need a bigger bank. Did you ever watch the show The Other Two? On I think it was on HBO about.
No, I didn't see it, but I know.
I really enjoyed that. The other two basic plot, it lasted like 3 seasons. Was this kid is like Justin Bieber, and he becomes a huge star online, and it focuses on his older brother and sister. Who the older brother is like a struggling 20-something actor in New York, and the older sister is, I don't even remember what she's doing. It's a very broad comedy, and at the very end, the older sister starts dating billionaires, and they literally like take her to space. Because they like, no matter what happens, they need to go bigger, and like they get plastic surgery. I mean, it gets pretty over the top. It's all got to be bigger for these people. Billionaire is not enough trillionaire. I mean, now we're going to have someone talking about how they become a quadrillionaire. This is manipulation. We have degraded capitalism and our civics to the point where, there are no rules, there are no laws for those in privilege. Utter lack of ethics and unfettered greed. Life has gotten harder in this country. We've talked about this a million times. And in our desperation, Americans turn to the nakedly empty promises of a con artist. To quote The Simpsons, when Homer was running a similar campaign for, sanitation commissioner, the crazy promises of a sleazy lunatic.
Carry him over the top, I believe was the headline in the paper in that episode.
Right. Well, crazy promises. Yeah. Simpson wins in a landslide. Crazy promises were the key. And it was completely predictable. Anyone with half a brain, it was completely predictable. So why? Because late stage capitalism, degraded civics, insanity, more. Give me more heroin.
There's just a lot of people. This is a cult, not a company, that will invest in anything that Musk puts forward. And to be fair, even companies that made no sense from a bottoms-up valuation standpoint, he still figured out a way to show return to those investors who were willing to hold on to a mediocre automobile company that was trading like a software stock.
Noah, would you have liked stock options and being a welder at SpaceX if you were a kid?
No, I was mostly hands-off with finances when I was a kid. Still, relatively hands-off. I was never someone who dreamed of going to space. I was never that kid who wanted to go to space camp, right? So there are plenty of people who I'm sure find this deplorable, but are still fascinated with, space travel. Like I said, I do think we should look towards the stars and move in that direction. And if SpaceX is actually making progress there, I think there is value to the company, but this level of value is terrible. Also, I can't imagine the universe in which I would worship Elon Musk in any respect, because I've always had seriously powerful anti-douchebag radar. So no.
Yeah, I think this is already a level above my head in terms of macroeconomics, whatever. How many different economics there are to say at this point. I'm glad I listened to, like you said, Galloway's suite of podcasts, because they kind of do a great job of idiot explaining the stuff and making it understandable on a granular level, and not just the idea that here's what's happening, but enough commentary that says here's why it's culturally important, not just financially important, as if you could extricate the two of those things. But I've never paid attention to any of this shit. And the closest thing I can think of where this might have, this actually does mean more to me, but it's on a totally different scale, is the idea that I presented as a member of the Steve Jobs' cult as a young man.
Really?
It's not as a very young man, but when I became a professional, when I was trending towards being professional in college and I was learning software and I was learning the skills of these things, it was all on Macintosh, and all the software was Adobe, and that was the stuff in print production and the film production, and the culture was essentially born on Macintosh computers. And when you had that Bondi,
I'm a big Mac user. There's huge value.
The Bondi Blue iMac, and then the sort of clamshell. I didn't have those computers. I had Power Macs at that point, like the workhorses that you would actually use to push video and print around. But it's at that moment, you talk about 97, 98, 99, Apple charging into the market. It's I bought the fucking computers. It's they meant a lot to me, because it's that was my identity as being a professional person working in print journalism, pushing Quark Express around, Photoshop.
When you work when you work in journalism, they give you a Mac at work.
I
only had all my years in publishing. I only was given a PC once, and lucky me, it was during the peak of the Napster boom, so I benefited from that.
Yeah, I think it's changed generally, and to be fair, the Jobs has been dead for a while now, and it's Apple has been selling. They still sell good looking machines, but it's their quality in the main is not as good as, isn't so much better than the competition used to be. It's PC quality has really jumped up, and it's competitive with Mac, and it's Mac is more interested in selling phones than computers. That's their core competency now. That's Tim Cook, whatever else, Tim Apple as he's called. Apple, yeah. The thing is, it's look, man, whatever you say, I just bought the fucking computers, though. I did not have Apple shares, so that's as close as I can squeeze it.
Why didn't I invest in Apple? I should have.
At a $1.75 trillion target valuation, SpaceX would be worth more than every American defense contractor combined. Worth more than the market caps of Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Disney, Nike, and Starbucks all put together.
I assume the answer is yes, but please elaborate on why you believe this is a sign of the apocalypse.
But how? That is the question. Yes.
Yes.
We cannot underscore just how devastating it is that Hiram Fuckface is a trillionaire. And my esteemed co-host has really gone through the levels of telling exactly why that is. Morally, antisocially, all of this stuff. It's injurious to life on planet Earth. Not only that, but the sheer...
And life beyond, eventually, if they get their way. Yeah.
The dead and the undead alike will come to rue the day. But, the golden age of robber barony, the control of the GDP in the 19th century was kind of fractional compared to tech CEO era. I'm talking about like oil and steel and locomotives and like whatever that form of robber barony was, where you were exploiting the labor class for the first time. Before Lincoln Steffens, before the people, muckraked all the, shit about these evil people who were essentially, they were blowing up Chinese people by the thousands to build railroads out west. I mean, they just did not give a shit about the life of workers and all that stuff.
Nope.
Coal mines, go down the list. Anyway,
Yeah.
So the thing is, the income disparity represented, just by one ketamine-addled fucking dope fiend. It's not just Bernie Sanders' worst nightmare in a press release or, tweets from AOC in the middle of the night. It's a terribly grim augur for the rest of my life, Noah, for however long or brief it turns out to be. The boot is on our neck, and there's like seemingly no force on earth that can compel these men to act as if they were humans. Carbon-based life forms sharing the same planet of us. It just seems that moment seems to have passed us by.
Maybe that's why they want to leave Earth, because they're not carbon-based beings. So
they're silicon, exactly.
Right, they have to find a planet more hospitable to their
the methane atmosphere so they can breathe.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the creatures in Arrival. This is a sign of the apocalypse. The New York Times had a headline. God, I'm so fucking sick of the Times. It's just the stain washing, the equivocating. The headline was, "Mega IPO frenzy could be a harbinger of a stock bubble." No. What an insight. Scott Galloway really thinks this could be a bubble. And he cited a stat that just, it really sums it up. He said a few years ago, they asked people their opinions on AI and 75% approved. Now, like 2 years later, 25% approval for AI.
Yeah.
And I don't think the average person realized how much these AI businesses, which, by the way, includes SpaceX, because that is a major pillar of everything they're doing, how much these AI businesses are propping up the economy right now, and how much these AI this bubble is the only thing that's keeping our incredible financial mismanagement in the federal government and most state governments from putting us back in, bread lines in 1929 and, brother, can you spare a dime era. New York Magazine had a quote that I want to read here. And this is the thing I said before about 46% poorest people that I think sums up a lot of it. And this is a quote, "Elon Musk's rise to trillionaire status marks a new pinnacle of oligarchy and a dark day for democracy." Oxfam America Senior Director of Economic Justice Nabil Ahmed said in a press release. Quote, he continues, "$1 trillion in the hands of one man is incompatible not only with an affordable economy, but also with a healthy democracy," unquote. You said that too. Like, this is, I'm not going to stake a claim in it, but I do think it's possible that 2024 was a completely illegitimate election. And I think there's every possibility that 2026 becomes an illegitimate election. And it's very easy to do those things when you have someone with no morals and more money than 46% of the world, taking an interest in it. I used to wonder as a kid why no one actually tried being a superhero. Why there was not, I figured, if anyone did it, they get shot the first day, probably. But why did no person just kind of try to be Batman? And as I got older, I came to realize, A, that superheroes were a childish fantasy. A fantasy I still enjoy. There's no problem with childish fantasies, but you keep them in the world of fantasy. So I came to realize that any adult who thinks a childish fantasy like that is feasible is not someone who would do what Batman would do. They do not have morals. They are arguably insane. And this is what we're seeing. This is leading us to walled communities, masses of proletariats, just huddled in abject poverty outside the gates, straight out of a dystopian novel. And it's going to lead to not nothing, but certainly not the dream that's promised.
His brand has gone to hell. Nobody's buying Teslas. There are implications, but this gives him another life, sort of a Lex Luthor just got another the cat got another life.
But-
Noah, let's this incredibly uplifting discussion we have. Let's finish it off with a pop culture
Yes.
we're having here, and talk about our last two segments. Let's talk about jealousy and the Flonian scale.
All right. So I'm jealous on behalf of society. I'm jealous on behalf of the human race. I'm jealous on behalf of my country, of course. But let's brighten up a little at the end. You know what? Let's add on the fly. Let's say something good. All right. Let's commit right now to saying something good that's somehow linked to this. And here's what I'm going to say is good. Yes, I'm jealous. I think Elon Musk is a complete fucking fool. And I think it is completely obvious that he's a fool. And I think as his perfidy and his foolishness becomes more and more obvious and causes more and more pain and suffering to the average person, I think people are waking up. Now, do they wake up enough? I'm more of an optimist on this than you are. But like I said before, I still believe in America. I still believe in human beings. And I think, people are fighters. And something like this is only going to make it clearer the stakes and inspire people more to fight back. So I found something good here. This is trillionaire. That's why I say burying the lead. This label is so obvious and so stark that it is a roadmap to the way out.
I appreciate that you took the topic here, our rubric, and you flipped it on its head. That's nutritive, I think. More healthy.
You got to get out of bed in the morning, my friend.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because my camera, I'm looking at you reclining right now. You're still in bed. That's the irony of this all. I was thinking, like, imagine being jealous of the Tesla bros. Imagine being jealous of...
Lots of people are.
No, I'm just saying, but live in our skin and think about being, having this fanaticism for Hiram Fuckface or even jealous of Fuckface himself in the cloistered life. He lives in his Austin compound. Just these buildings that are set up off the road.
He must be miserable.
Well, he's surrounded by lick spittles, obviously. Yeah. He's actually, the funny thing, for all the fucking racism and those bullshit, he's surrounded by a South Asian workforce. All these yep. Indian and Pakistani geniuses who came to work for pennies because they believe in him as the great white god, for whatever that's worth. And there's a lot of women who are hanging around this as baby carriers. The women, all his various... Is he
married?
I don't know if he's married, but I know he's at least
he's got like 12 kids from 10 women or something.
And at least
like that,
two
right?
of his women live in the compound. It's like he's been divorced or he's broken up, but it's like they're still being cared for because, again, he's the progenitor of another race. His whole thing, he's shambling around on pet tranquilizers, attempting to birth a new race with his superior genes, while calling for the extermination of all non-whites. And it's like, just yesterday, he said that the British government should all be not hanged or something like that. For what was going on in Belfast or something like that. He said the entire English government should be arrested. Some preposterous statement.
What is he talking about?
Well, because there were race riots in Belfast that were built on bullshit. It's like they burned flats down. They were dragging people out. These crazy ass people. That's what I'm saying. Count me the fuck out. No, I'm not jealous. And so, no, where would you array this in our Felonian scale?
Well, we mentioned the game stonks, the GameStop memes is our most stock markety topic to date. Although blockchain was tangential to that. So you take
I
that,
thought
you
the casino
it,
economy was also as well the Kalshi poly market thing.
I mean, all these things are connected. Yeah, you multiply that times what I consider might be the absolute worst thing we've looked at. Not Ryan's world, Bill. Where's Ryan today?
I think he's still in the game. OG, got to respect.
He's got to be like 30 now.
Respect the game. Yeah, he's opening trials while smoking Marlboros or something. I have no idea.
Sorry. GameStop times deepfakes. All right, I think deepfakes are just the end of the world because truth, it means nothing anymore once those things take over. So GameStop times deepfakes takes you to a really astronomical number, and because I'm trying to be somewhat optimistic here, you got to cut that number down. So divided by 76.1562. And that on the XYZ AA axis is where you find the SpaceX IPO.
I think to me that sounds like you're pretty much ranking it as low as you can get. In your own inimitable, arcane way, I think you're still calling the shot. Yeah, I think this is worse than Lana Del fucking Ryan's World. Anything that we've kind of like jerked around in the past. You know, the stock market bullshit, the Kalshi poly market, casino economy, the fucking young men gambling their money away rather than trying to earn it because they need to pay off because nothing means anything. Look, in the 35 years of this podcast, we inherited this podcast from our fathers. We took it over from them. We're the second generation of scurvy.
Try to imagine. I can't imagine our grandfathers even having a conversation. Can you imagine how different our grandfathers were?
Oh, yes, it's true. That would have been...
I mean, they were both working class guys, I imagine.
Yeah. No, it's true. My grandfather was a cop, actually, Suffolk County police officer. Yeah.
Well, my grandfather was not a cop.
He was not a cop, exactly. Well, he was Irish Catholic, so it made more sense that he was a cop. That was his thing.
Okay. Yeah.
So this is the...
Mine was not Irish Catholic.
No, not that you know of. He wasn't a secret closet Catholic the entire time. The lie of the Tarnow family.
He was pretty Jewish. Pretty Jewish.
But this got to be the worst fiasco. I mean, I just can't imagine painting this differently. Unless somehow what we talk about next week, I don't see how you can get worse than this. But this is like an epochal thing. And that's kind of why I feel like, you know what, this is depressing, but let's talk about it because it transcended news. It turned into fucking pop culture, and whether this winds up being a story that carries on, like a cultural story that just people start to talk about, like you would a movie like the Steven Spielberg movie that opens this weekend. I'm not saying it's equal to that, but if it kind of like jumps off the business page and stays on the front page and it's kind of sticking around for a while, I have a feeling it will be. I have a feeling there's permanence to this just because of the money we're talking about.
There's definitely going to be effects from this. What they are, TBD. Frankly, America, it's up to us.
You're screwed, America. Right.
I looked it up. Ryan Kaji is currently 14 years old.
Yeah.
And they're still doing their thing to some point,
He's looks maxing, right? He's beating his face with a hammer and doing a chin extension and all that stuff.
God. Yeah. Give him a couple of years. Once puberty's kicking in this weekend, give him 6 months.
It will for me someday too. Well, I think that no, we can't do anymore. We got to quit this. We got to finish.
We're done
this right now.
We're all done.
So you want to look for past episodes? Of course, they're on Spotify. Of course, they're on Apple Podcasts. Of course, they're on Soundcloud and GooglePlay. Ski to us at noandbillshow.bshow.social. Write to us at noandbilldon'tgetit@gmail.com. Reviews are welcome. We love reviews. We love the approbation. So I'm on Blue Sky at billscurry.bsky.social. I'm on Twitter, William Scurry, on Instagram, all those things. YouTube.com/amcaesar is my channel on YouTube naturally. And here, Noah will tell you where to find him.
You can find me at bigquizthing.com. The Big Quiz Thing, America's premier provider of corporate and private live trivia events. Happy World Cup. We did a World Cup themed quiz the other day, which was really fun because it was, Big Quiz Thing style trivia. We tried to make it accessible to everyone. So it wasn't really about the World Cup. It was more about soccer and pop culture. And there's a lot to work with there. So we had a real good time. So that was for Treeline Biosciences, a biotech company located in San Diego. Always wonderful to work with these companies that are actually making a profit. You can learn more at bigquizthing.com. Hire us for your corporate event, your private event, your fundraiser, what have you. The finest in trivia fun for more than 20 years. And I am personally on Instagram at the Noah Tarnow.
And tell people to listen to Shut Up and Wrestle. I know it's 2 weeks ago now, but that was actually it was an amiable podcast you guys had.
Thank you. If you are at all interested in the world of professional wrestling, the sport of kings, I was a guest on Brian R. Solomon's podcast, Shut Up and Wrestle, where we talked about the glory days of 1980s Hulkamania when I was a dedicated fan, and the times I was at WrestleManias 3 and 5 in person. So Brian and I had a fun chat about wrestling, a little rambly but really enjoyable. My theory of why wrestling is the most honest sport and how the Ultimate Warrior's world title reign could have actually succeeded. I finally share those long simmering theories with the world.
Everyone was waiting to hear that. Exactly.
Yeah. Very important. Very important.
All right, everybody. So until the next episode, we talk about the combination Big Quiz Thing, I Don't Get It, IPO, making both of us dozenaires.
We don't get it.
A production of American Caesar Enterprises 2026.